If you walk into the Thar Desert at 2 in the morning, you might find yourself in Kuldara. Local legend says that nearly 200 years ago, 80,000 people living here vanished in a single night. Today, paranormal investigators report child-sized handprints appearing out of nowhere on their dusty car hoods. They record sudden temperature drops plummeting below freezing and point to strict government rules forbidding anyone from staying inside the village limits past sunset. 6 centuries ago, a massive civilization transformed this landscape into a dense hub of stone and trade, thriving where nothing was supposed to grow. The real puzzle here is entirely earthly. This is a desert where summer temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius. There is almost zero rainfall. How did thousands of people manage to survive, let alone build a wealthy settlement, in the middle of a literal sand dune? In the 13th century, the Paliwal Brahmins migrated to the Thar, bringing a specific set of skills designed to survive the impossible. Their solution was the Kadin system. Rather than fighting the unpredictable monsoon rains, they used the natural slopes of the hills to catch the water. They corralled it into basins, allowing the water to slowly trickle down and get trapped deep beneath the sand. By winter, the surface water evaporated, but the trapped moisture turned the desert sand into a nutrient-rich soil bed, allowing for 2 robust crops a year. That reliable food source transformed Kuldara into a massive trading hub. Located squarely on the route between Jaisalmer and Sindh, the village accumulated so much capital that the merchants and bankers here had more wealth than the kings of Jaisalmer themselves. We are looking at a highly advanced, deeply rooted community. They had fertile land, a flourishing economy, and sturdy stone architecture. They had every reason to stay forever. Yet the brilliant Kadin system had a fatal dependency. It only worked if the monsoon rains arrived to refill those underground aquifers. Nearby, the Kok River acted as a vital artery for the region's groundwater. But over decades, weather patterns shifted, and the river slowly evaporated. Historical records note that by 1815, most of the wells in Kuldara had completely dried up. Without water, the agricultural engine stalled. The green crops withered back into sand dunes, and the lucrative trade caravans stopped coming through. Long before any ghosts or villains entered the picture, Kuldara was dying. The desert was simply reclaiming the land it had temporarily loaned to the engineers. Then came the human element. The Prime Minister of Jaisalmer, Dewan Salim Singh, saw an opportunity. Known for his brutal extortion tactics, he levied aggressive taxes on the starving Paliwal Brahmins. At the same time, the collapse of their wealth meant they could no longer afford security. Robbers and bandits started raiding the village. They stole what little money was left and even kidnapped local women, holding them for ransom. This chart maps the actual population of Kuldara over a 100-year period, exposing the reality behind the myth of a sudden vanishing act. At its peak, the village held nearly 1,600 residents. As the water dried up and taxes increased, the population steadily dropped. By 1815, that number had halved to about 800. Families slowly packed up and migrated toward Jodhpur in search of a viable life. By 1890, official records show a mere 37 people still holding on in the ruins. There was no button pressed in the middle of the night. Kuldara was squeezed to death by a severe ecological disaster, followed closely by opportunistic political greed. Once the village was entirely empty, the scavengers moved in. The Paliwal Brahmins had left in waves, and rumors spread that they had buried valuable silver and gold coins beneath their abandoned homes. To dig up the floors without getting caught by the authorities or local farmers, these thieves needed a cover. So they intentionally manufactured and spread stories of restless spirits and deadly curses. They wanted people too terrified to come near the ruins after dark. When modern tourists and investigators arrive today, their brains are already primed by these old rumors. Psychology calls this pareidolia. If you expect to be terrified, your brain will force you to see ghostly faces in the shadows and hear screams in the desert wind. This creates a powerful loop where every unexplained sound is filtered through the lens of a ghost story, turning a simple trick of the mind into a perceived supernatural event. If you visit Kuldara today, you won't find spirits. You will find a sprawling, silent, crumbling maze of yellow stone stretching out under the intense Indian sun. The builders of these stone houses were master agriculturalists who reshaped the desert floor into a sustainable oasis through engineering and persistence. You can still see the care they put into their city. These intricate balconies and precise doorways are testaments to a golden age, slowly being worn down by the blowing sand. When we reduce their history to a campfire ghost story, we erase the actual people. We ignore the incredible tenacity it took to survive here and the heartbreaking reality of what forced them out. Kuldara doesn't need to be haunted to be terrifying. It stands as a monument to human ingenuity and a stark reminder of how fragile our mastery over nature really is. When the water disappears, the civilization follows.